Back at 7:41, the largest Muslim civil liberties group in the United States says the level of anti-Muslim backlash in America has been unprecedented in the wake of the Paris attacks. And Erica, you recently sat down with a group of Muslim Americans who wanted to clear up some misconceptions about their religion.
Absolutely. Everyone we met with was either born in the U.S. or raised here since childhood. They are as American as can be, yet they aren't always embraced in that way. Our conversation covered a number of topics, including their reaction to the attacks in Paris 2 weeks ago.
I think our first thought always has to be the victims. Anytime we start thinking about the attackers, we've given them a victory. So it's the people in Istanbul, it's the people in Beirut, it's the people in Paris.
What is the biggest misconception when you say to someone, I'm a Muslim? What do you think they don't understand?
A lot of people seem to have trouble understanding that American Muslims are American. Of course, the most common misconception is we're terrorists, or we're sympathetic to terrorism, or our religion is itself terrorism.
Why do you think that has endured, that misconception?
The image of Islam that's portrayed publicly, the fact that there's actually not a lot of Muslims in the United States, so all people really know about Islam is what they receive in the news and foreign policy. And honestly, a lot of Muslims haven't done a very good job of representing themselves or their religion in the public. Mostly, we kind of punted on that one. Until very recently when we realized, oh my God, maybe we should be telling our stories instead of letting other people tell their stories. So some of it's the fact that we haven't really invested in explaining who we are and what we believe and what we don't believe.
People question our loyalty, and that's perplexing in the sense that my father's a veteran. There's people in the United States Army right now who are willing to lay their lives down for this country.
I mean, I think we talked a little bit about the ways in which Muslims are portrayed negatively in the media, but I think there are really important Muslims in the public eye whom people would recognize if we said their names and don't realize that they're Muslim. You know, I think of Mossadegh, Lupe Fiasco, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Muhammad Ali lit the torch at the '96 Olympic Games, the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Muslims who are in the public face, in the public eye, and represent our nation.
Your T-shirt, you say, says, don't panic, I'm Islamic. It's an interesting shirt to wear. Do you find, and do any of you feel you're discriminated against simply by the way you look?
Oh, well, that's an easy one when you're a hijabi girl, right? So, yes, we've had reported incidents of women being spat at, women being cursed at, women being tripped to the ground, go back home, threats. I mean, it's been a pretty crazy 2 weeks.
I want to come back to your shirt. Do you wear that out in public? And if so, what kind of a reaction do you get?
The last time I wore this one was in the New York City Climate March a year ago. And at that time, that one got me a lot of love. I don't often wear this out on the streets, you know, unless I'm in an environment that's supportive.
I don't want to close mosques. I want to surveil mosques. I want mosques surveilled.
When you hear that a presidential candidate wants to monitor your place of worship, what do you think about that?
My first thought as a Muslim is, let's invite him over. I think Donald Trump just needs exposure to some good old-fashioned Muslim hospitality. It would do him good to see that we're not so different from anyone that, you know, his political base.
I mean, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, when John F. Kennedy was running for president, he was attacked because he was a Catholic, and they were afraid that canon law was going to take over and the Pope was, they're going to have a statue of the Pope right in front of the White House. So we have to look deep within our own culture and find out why this cycle of racism and fear of the unknown and lack of education on our parts as American keeps repeating itself.
The biggest threat to America is anyone who demonizes people in the way that he has been demonizing people, because it completely clashes and collides with what America is. I keep going back to this optimism that I have of everyone, of every faith. We're going to vote and we're going to utilize that power from the people. What this country is supposed to have been founded on, the voice of the people.
It was a great conversation, and they talk a lot too about, you know, you have to, their religion in many ways has been sort of stolen by ISIS, right? They're taking the name and doing all of these things in the name of Islam, and that is not the Islam that any of them, you know, believe in or adhere to. And so it was a great conversation, and we really appreciate all of them sitting down and talking with us and being so open and so honest.
Well, it was interesting to hear the one gentleman say that, you know, it's our time to tell our story, because maybe you don't know much about it, but we're going to tell it our way.
Yeah, which is a great point. And they are all five of them are really committed to doing that.
We're relieved to be able to speak and talk to you, tell their story.
Fascinating. Nice job, Eric.